Welcome to Teen Up, a podcast that digs deeper into the thoughts of teenagers' minds about the wonders of the world.
If you're new here, I am your host, Isabella.
And I'm Glenn. If you're not, welcome back.
Here's a quick disclaimer. If we made any mistakes, please email us and tell us. Thank you.
The ocean holds some of the most crucial technologies of humankind. This week, we are exploring the technologies placed in the ocean and the technologies that help us explore it. So, when we were talking about this topic, the first thing that came to my mind was internet cables.
Okay. Wait, internet cables are undersea?
Yeah.
Okay. Did not know that.
That is how we transfer data from Taiwan to, say, America or other places. So, these cables are called the submarine communication cables. And they're actually technologies from a long time ago. I mean, not necessarily the ones that we're using right now, but the idea of it was way back during, telegraph time.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are still using telegraph, they would put these wires under the ocean, just like how we do now.
Mm-hmm.
But theirs is obviously not as good as ours now.
Yeah.
And ours can carry more data. Not that is a competition,
It's just that we're way better.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it's the same idea. So people have been using this technology for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So our communication cables are made out of glass.
Oh, wait, I've heard about this.
These fiberglass are very, very thin pieces of glass. I guess you don't say pieces. It's just like a very long
strand
of glass.
Yeah.
And how they make this is that there are two layers of glass, one in the middle and one on the outside. And these two layers have different refraction levels. So it will keep the laser within the glass fiber. We're not going to talk about refractions and how it does that.
Wait, but I know that fiberglass is like they could keep light within the glass for a long distance, right?
Yes, these glass, they were made out of like originally a thing that's like a chunk of glass. They would pull it very, very long, and then it would become very thin, which I think is quite cool. And then they have these strands, and then it would be covered in multiple layers of, different stuff. All have different usage, like strengthening the structure and keeping the cable from being bitten by sharks.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I think one of the coolest thing about these cables is that there's one layer that carries electricity because they would, I think what I heard is like every 50 miles under the sea, they would have a hub, but not necessarily a hub. It's just like they would strengthen the signal of the light.
Oh,
so that would
sense.
need electricity, and they would just carry that electricity through the same cable, which is very cool actually. So these underwater cable, they are laid by a specialized ship, and sometimes they will bury it after they've laid the cable, and sometimes they wouldn't. It depends on like where the cable is at and what the seabed is like. So if they want to bury this, they would have a kind of like a robot, like a machine that would
go underwater.
Yeah, that would go underwater and dig a hole, a ridge for the cable to be laid in. And sometimes they just bury it very shallow, so not very deep, and sometimes it would be very deep.
Okay, just one question. What happens if these cables break?
Okay, so these cables can actually be fixed
remotely, or do you have to like travel there to fix it?
No, you have to travel there, because if it broken into two parts,
Oh.
you probably need somebody to go underwater and fuse it back together.
Wait, isn't there a part in Iron Man that does that?
Do not remember.
He's amazing.
So these cables, there are a lot of videos online explaining how they works. And basically it's just like computer signals turn into lights and then carry through these cables. And then the other end will decode the information. And that's how internet works.
Woohoo.
It actually is how internet works, which is very cool, I think, using lights. Because, the wires around us are mostly not using lights.
What did they use?
They just like carries electricity.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's it for the internet. Another one of the technologies in ocean is underwater ROV. So ROV stands for remotely operated vehicles.
Yeah.
And these have a lot of usages, including the one that I just talked about. So the like robot thing that follows the specialized boats in laying internet cables. I would say like that is one ROV.
Oh,
And these ROV have a lot of different things that it can do, especially like scientific research, I think. They would send ROVs underwater instead of people.
Oh.
So it would be a lot easier. And I would say like you can be a little bit riskier, even though like they should be pretty expensive, but at least somebody wouldn't die.
Yeah, for sure.
And they can also be rigged with a lot of different sensors to, explore the underwater world. I would say camera is like definitely one of the most important thing. So we can see like what's underwater, and I feel like that just makes a huge difference.
I feel like there would be also like arms attached to these vehicles, right?
Some of them do. And it can be used in many fields, including like offshore energy, military, oceanography, or marine science.
That makes sense.
Yeah, one of the goals of ROV technology is to reduce the risk of divers. So they want it to be able to do what humans are able to do, which is surprisingly very delicate, how humans can have very precise operations. And that they want these ROVs to exceed human level capacity, and they can take like more dangerous tasks. And the ideal solution would be for smaller ROVs to be able to do the tasks usually done by humans, and the diver would just control it remotely. I think it's very important because how it has a lot of potential, in research and exploring the ocean. And of course, like if we want to construct something under the sea, we can also use this. And I heard that it's also used in some like aquariums or like inland.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense because going into these bodies of water isn't like the safest thing.
So after the break, we're going to talk about ocean buoy and ocean cleanup.
Welcome to Teen Girl Talk.
Teen Girl Talk.
I'm Susie Coda.
I'm Franklin Coda. And we're a teen podcast. Yes, we're covering teen movies, teen books, and teen TV shows. All things teen.
Let's hear a little bit from us.
Guess who I ship?
Who?
Voldemort and the Emperor.
I mean, it would be very like very long-winded conversations where it feels like neither of them can just quite catch their breath.
I mean, it would totally be a relationship.
I think you look very lovely tonight. Yes, you look lovely tonight too, Voldy.
Okay, so I totally think they would be a toxic couple, and their friends would be like, you guys make up and break up every other week. We can't take it anymore. And Voldemort would be like, I just don't know what it is. He's so evil. I just can't quit him. Why?
Teen Girl Talk can be found wherever you find your podcasts. Check us out every Wednesday and Thursday.
Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about more technologies in the ocean.
So the first one is ocean buoy. Such a cool word.
Yes, it is.
And these are little weather stations, I think.
Oh.
I mean, they have other usage, but
Uh-huh.
a lot of them are used to measure a whole range of weather variables, such as wave height, or, like tide, wind speed and direction, and air and water temperature, and air pressure. And it serves a lot of purposes.
You know, in movies, like they use ocean buoys for like saving people or something.
Really?
Not really. Like they would swim in the ocean and they would find a buoy and, kind of stay there until someone comes and save them.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I just thought like that would be the main purpose, but I guess it does so much more than that. Okay.
So it can activate emergency alerts. Say there's a tsunami coming and you have ocean buoy offshore. You can be warned before the tsunami comes. So like a populated coastal area. Or there are ships, you can tell them to turn around or something like that. And it can also be used for offshore drilling platforms, which is like people getting oil offshore in the middle of the ocean. We're not going to talk about that, but it's also a very interesting process of how people drill oil on the ocean.
And you know how people like make land out of sand or something? Yeah.
And trash.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That is very cool, I think. Anyways, so these ocean buoys will just basically monitor the ocean. And they're equipped with many, many sensors to measure different parameters. They would send these information back and people would like plug it into computer systems and these systems can calculate weather information. So they would, so it's basically a part of like how we monitor our weather, and they would make like, we would have like weather predictions. It would also contribute to that. Since, ocean is a big influencing factor of the climate and the weather.
Wait, but how does the buoy stay in one place? Or does it not?
I would say it would have like anchors.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's my guess, though. I did not really look into that. Anyway, so I think these buoys are very, very important and cool. Just because how much they can do and how you see them, they're so little. It's not like a huge ship, but it's just a little floating thing.
With a lot of equipment that could do a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the next one I guess we can talk about is ocean cleanup. And I've seen a lot of this, in news, on the internet, or on YouTube, whatever. People are saying that there are a lot of trash in the ocean, which is true. I believe that. And they want to clean it up. So they come up with all kinds of technology to try to clean up this trash that we put in the ocean.
I think I actually do know this organization. I do know that they come up with, a lot of different machines to, collect trash using, and they use like electricity collected from like sun energy, right?
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Like they attach those onto some of their equipment, like the solar panels onto their machines, and they would just set it like on a lake or a place that has a lot of trash, and they would just place it there and the machine would run by itself and they would just go collect the trash afterward.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, they're actually pretty good.
So what I saw is this organization called the Ocean Cleanup. I think it's founded by someone in Netherlands. And what they're doing is they are cleaning up this trash patch on the Pacific.
Yes.
That's what it's called, right?
Yes.
And what I saw is that they're using 2 boats and a net, but it's like their specialized net in between, and just collects all the trash.
Yeah, kind of scoops the trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are on their 2nd generation, I believe. That's what I saw. And when they started, there are, some controversies.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying that, just cleaning up the end is not going to help because it's going to cost too much. And that what we should do is stop letting the trash go into the ocean.
Right.
So stopping it at the, river,
Beginning.
not throwing trash or using less plastic, that's more important.
Mm-hmm.
And, these critics are saying that we shouldn't focus on the trash that's already there because it's going to disappear if we stop producing new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that it makes sense because it's very, very expensive to collect trash like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I also think that they should clean it up because they are not only doing this, so they're also placing their machines in rivers around the world
Mm-hmm.
to collect trash right in the river.
Yeah. And I think honestly, them doing this, like the trash patch on the Pacific Ocean is not going to like dissolve or anything. So it still has to be cleaned up somehow. So although it is better to, fix the problem at its roots, but the after stuff should also still be dealt with, or else the patch is just gonna stay there forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this is something that I read recently,
Mm-hmm.
is that there's actually life in the patch.
Mm-hmm.
So there are different creatures that are forming a new ecosystem inside this trash patch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just kind of interesting because now that people are saying maybe it's not that good of an idea to clean it up because there are some very rare creatures in it that usually lives in like coral reefs and other stuff. Now they are, living in this patch. And it kind of just reminds me of how sometimes we will like sink ships. You know how we sink ships
to create more ecosystems, right?
Yeah, to create spaces for like the coral reefs to live.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of interesting, like how nature finds its own way to, have this balance back. So I'm not sure if it's a great idea to clean up this patch anymore. I guess we will need to like see what happens next. But I do think it's very interesting that people are, talking about this. And it has been a hot topic for a very long time already.
And just wanted to add, the trash patch is how like the current collects all the trash from different parts of the world and they collect it into like this big patch. Like honestly, I feel like these organisms that are living within these patches, I don't think like they're unnatural. Like they're not supposed to be there on top of the surface of the ocean. So to me, I would say cleaning up the patch would be for the best, even though these organisms may be really rare. Like they could take specimens out of these trash patches and, somehow put them elsewhere, like onto actual coral reefs or something like that. I think that would be better, even though it's probably harder to do.
Yeah, I guess. But also it's like, I feel like a lot of the times people just forget that we humans are also a part of the
ecosystem.
Yes, and the nature that people are talking about. So if it's a new balance that we've reached, maybe we should just keep it. Just don't mess with it again. Because I feel like we should find a way to live with nature instead of just preserving it. Of course, we need to preserve nature and our environment. But I think it's not going all in, like very crazy. Like, oh, we're not going to use anything that's from, oil products. We're not going to use any of that and live a very sustainable life. I feel like it's finding a balance because it's not like the earth will not replenish itself. And some energy are sustainable. Say trees are sustainable energy, right?
Resources.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes it's finding the balance with nature that's the most important for us.
Yeah, for sure. Because we're still going to be on this planet living, right? Like it's not like we could stop using oil when we want to.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's using the minimum or like using at a speed that the earth can digest, the carbon dioxide that we're creating, or to just at least like let the world be at a pace that it can balance out these things that we're producing.
For sure.
So, I mean, there are still a lot of technologies being developed or being used in the ocean right now. A lot of new technologies people are discovering. Just like even the cleanup, they're trying out new models. They are developing new models. And I think these technologies will help us to understand the ocean better and also save our world from our own harms, you know?
Next week, we'll definitely talk more about these environmental issues related to the ocean and what other expertise might think. Thank you for listening to this episode.
We will upload a new episode every Thursday.
Remember to like, follow, and share our podcasts with your friends and family. You could also share your idea and thoughts with us on our Instagram at teenup.podcast.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our channel. Thank you and bye.